Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Grace. I am so happy that all of you guys are here. Especially special welcome to all those of you that came over from the Dice and Dragons TikTok this past week. Thank you so much for all the happy birthday wishes. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the love. And I'm so happy you're here. Okay, I am coming at you guys with a bookish board game video. This video, I'm going to talk about board games that are based on books. I'm not going to talk about the Lord of the Rings games or the Game of Thrones games because there's a lot of them and they're all over the place, and I kind of feel like they're sort of obvious that Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones both have big games based on them. So I don't really want to talk about the obvious ones. I want to talk about some that maybe are a little lesser known. Hey, before we get started, give me a thumbs up! First of all, I want to start off with an honorable mention. Now, this board game wasn't exactly based on this book, but they're both so similar that every time I play this game, I think about this book. I can't get this book out of my mind. And that is going to be Terraforming Mars and The Martian. Mark Watney is an astronaut, and he is on a mission on the planet Mars. However, something goes wrong, his spaceship malfunctions and it takes off without him, and Mark Watney gets left by himself on the planet's surface of Mars. And he has to survive by himself, and he has to grow potatoes, and he has to use his wit, his intellect, and a whole bunch of science to get himself off of the planet Mars. Now, the game Terraforming Mars feels so much like the book, The Martian. Terraforming Mars is a strategy-based board game that takes place on the planet's surface of Mars. Players get points by terraforming different tiles around the planet's surface. As a player, you're building Martian cities, you're growing forests, you're spawning oceans, and you're using a whole bunch of science and stuff to do this. Like, you're raising the temperature, you're raising the oxygen levels, and you're basically a scientist as the head of a science corporation trying to terraform your area of the planet. Like I said before, this board game wasn't exactly based on the book, but they're both so similar that I just can't get the book out of my mind every time I play. Number 2, you guys, the Expanse series has its own board game. Oh my gosh, this is new to me. I did not know this before. A couple weeks ago, I was watching game reviews and saw the Expanse board game pop up, and I was like, oh my god, the Expanse series has its own board game. What even? Alright, just so you know, I am currently only on this book. I'm on book 5 of the Expanse series. I am on Nemesis Games. There are plenty more books in the series, so I have been very, very, very careful when I've been researching the Expanse board game because I did not want to accidentally spoil myself for anything. But I think I came away clean. I think I did not get spoiled for anything. So, whew. Okay, but let me tell you a little bit. The Expanse series is a long, epic science fiction space opera series that follows a couple main groups of people. You really don't get along and see eye to eye. Basically, so then there is this protogen alien thing that shows up in the very first book, Leviathan Wakes, and all these groups that don't get along have to learn how to work together and get along in order to defeat this extraterrestrial alien threat that has just showed up in the solar system. The board game! Okay, so I was doing research about it. It is basically an area control game. So whoever controls like the most planets and the most different pieces of the solar system whoever has the most points wins the game. It seems to be that simple. Now it's a 2 to 4 player game. You can play as any one of 4 factions. You can play as the OPA, you can play as the United Nations, you can play as the actual protogen alien species, or you can play as the Mars faction. Apparently, Holden and his crew and the Rocinante is a big part of the game, and whoever is in last place at the end of a turn round gets to control the Rocinante and gets to like move it wherever, and the character Holden has his own special abilities that everybody gets to kind of control at different times in the games. I know that if I were to play it, I would purposely come in last place because I just want to be on the Rocinante with Holden and Amos and Naomi and Alex and everybody. I have it on good authority from watching Dice Tower review videos that it is actually very easy to learn and very easy to play. So the next one I'm going to tell you about is Dune. Dune has its own board game. Well, actually Dune had its own board game. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Dune, the board game, basically took all the themes of the book and put it into game form and did really, really well. So in the board game Dune, you control a faction that is mining spice on the barren planet of Dune. Spice is the most mysterious and valuable resource that there is. Literally in the book, one handful of spice can buy you like a gigantic home. Anyway, that's basically the plot of the book and the plot of the game. However, some things happened. Fantasy Flight Games could not actually get the license for the Dune theme from the Frank Herbert estate. So the board game Dune kind of just imploded and went away. However, Fantasy Flight, it was a great game. So what Fantasy Flight did was they reprinted it in the Twilight Imperium universe instead of in the Dune universe. And they gave it the name Rex. So this is the new reprint of Dune. The two games fundamentally play the exact same. There are, maybe not the exact same, there are some differences, but they are very, very, very similar in how they play. The very next one I have for you is Embers of Memory, which is based on the final book in the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash. Now, I'm going to say right now, I can't talk about this game without saying some major spoilers for the Throne of Glass series. So, if you care about that, you should probably mute me. But if you don't care, or if you've already read it, just obviously keep listening. Okay, so Embers of Memory is a two-player co-op game. One player is playing as the character Eileen, and the other player is playing as the character Rowan from the books. So this takes place in the final torture scene in this book where Eileen is being tortured by the evil Queen Maeve. Rowan here is trying to psychologically invade her brain and help her withstand the torture and not give up this information. Alright, so basically what this looks like is putting cards in these patterns and trying to make sets of the number 7 as you're just making patterns in the middle of the table with all these memory cards. When I was like originally reading the concept of this game and looking at the rulebook and trying to figure it out, I was like, this is super kind of wonky. I don't even know why they picked this particular thing to be a card game. I don't know. But then I was doing more research and I realized that Embers of Memory is actually a reprint of another game called The Ravens of Threesahashari. I just kept feeling like I was missing something. So I don't know if one of you guys has played this game and absolutely freaking loves it and totally gets it and is like, oh my god, Grace, like seriously, how are you missing this thing? Please let me know what I'm missing. The next ones I want to talk about are actually a broad set of games. I'm going to focus in on one because this is the one that I own, but it's a whole set, it's a whole genre, and that is going to be games that take place in a Lovecraftian, Cthulhu, Arkham, Eldritch horror universe. Around the year 1925, the author H.P. Lovecraft wrote a whole series of works that combined together is the Cthulhu mythos. In the Cthulhu mythos, H.P. Lovecraft tells us that there's all these ancient alien monsters that used to rule the earth, but they have currently fallen into a really deep sleep. However, when the stars align perfectly right, these monsters are going to wake up and come back and devour humanity. Okay, that is the Cthulhu mythos in a nutshell. Now, what's really, really cool about the Cthulhu mythos and Lovecraft and all of his works is that it is now public domain. So basically that means any game creator that wants to make a board game can make a Cthulhu-based board game, which means there are so many countless board games out there. You've got Arkham Horror, you've got Eldritch Horror, you've got Mansions of Madness. Got a Flux version that is Cthulhu Flux, which I think I have played and really enjoyed. Even Pandemic jumped on board and created a Pandemic-based game that is like Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu, and is basically your typical co-op Pandemic game, but set in the Cthulhu mythos, and instead of solving diseases and like coming up with cures, you're actually trying to prevent monsters from taking over the world. So I've heard it's really, really cool as well. Anyway, so there's so many Cthulhu, Lovecraftian, Arkham, Eldritch horror-based games. I'm actually going to talk about one of them because it's the one that I own, and this is Elder Sign, based in the Cthulhu mythos. So basically, Elder Sign is a co-op game in which all the players are rolling dice in order to collect Elder Signs to keep all the monsters at bay. Once you collectively, as a group, get to the right amount of Elder Signs, you win the game. And if you don't, you just get eaten by monsters and completely shredded to pieces. Basically a dice version of Arkham Horror. So I feel like this one moves a lot more quickly, and it's a lot more easy to teach people, and it's a lot more approachable. So that is why I chose to pick up the Elder Sign as opposed to Arkham Horror. So there are probably lots of other books that got turned into board games. Let me know in the comments below the ones that I missed, ones that you might want me to look up, research, and talk to you about in the future, or if there are ones that you love that I just completely missed, let me know in the comments below. If you have not hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button for me because I want to see more of your face and I want you to be able to see more of my face. Guys, oh my gosh, thank you so much for watching this video. I absolutely freaking love you, and you're absolutely beautiful. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye!